A warning tonight from the FBI. It's alerting businesses about a cyber attack that could do serious damage to their computer data. The agency says it can wipe out hard drives and make it difficult, even impossible, to recover the information. That comes as Sony works to contain the damage from what appears to be a hacker attack with a Hollywood twist. Ian Hannamansing has been following the story. Ian.
Peter, is it possible that a movie shot right here in our newsroom may have led to a cyber attack against a major U.S. corporation? Well, the answer seems to be maybe. The apparent target, Sony Pictures, isn't commenting, but the LA Times reported the company's computer systems were crippled last week. The theory goes North Korea is mad at Rogan and mad about the movie and unleashed a cyber attack. A tech news website raised that possibility, and some experts on the reclusive communist state agree.
It is absolutely plausible, although we don't know for sure now. It is certainly not beyond North Korea's capabilities. In the past 5 or 10 years approximately, they have certainly increased their cyber warfare capabilities.
Tonight, sources tell CBS News the U.S. government is preparing to blame North Korea for the hack attack on Sony Pictures Entertainment. Sony decided today to cancel the Christmas release of the comedy The Interview after hackers threatened terror attacks on theaters that show the movie. Here's Bob Orr.
Bowing to threats of potential violence at movie theaters, Sony Pictures Entertainment pulled the plug. In a statement, Sony said, "We have decided not to move forward with the planned December 25th theatrical release." Sony said it made that decision with paramount interest in the safety of employees and theatergoers. The film, The Interview, features reporters on a mission to kill the leader of North Korea. An online threat Tuesday warned moviegoers to stay away, saying the world will be full of fear. Remember the 11th of September. The warning seemed to come from hackers calling themselves Guardians of Peace. That's the same group behind a wide-ranging cyber attack on Sony. Law enforcement sources say investigators believe the Guardians are state-sponsored hackers inside North Korea. But the U.S. government has not yet publicly named a suspect. And the regime of Kim Jong-un has denied any involvement in the cyber attack. The assault on Sony is one of the most destructive and disruptive cyber attacks to hit any U.S. company in history. Sony's already lost millions, Nora, and maybe even more in prestige to hackers who've stolen films and destroyed critical computer records.
All right, Bob Orr, thank you very much.
The hackers who stole millions of documents from Sony Pictures are getting personal. They are leaking the private health information of dozens of Sony employees and their families. Meanwhile, the studio's co-chairman and a powerful Hollywood producer are apologizing for their stolen emails. The two used racial jokes to mock President Obama.
The hacking group Guardians of Peace is trying to stop the release of the film, which is a fictional satire about killing North Korea's leader.
Hello, North Korea!
In an email, the hackers are threatening to attack theaters that show the film on Christmas Day. The group says, quote, "Remember the 11th of September. We recommend you to keep yourself distant from places at that time."
We take those threats very seriously, and we will take extra precautions during the holidays at theaters.
The FBI
It's called The Interview, a comedy about two journalists who were tapped by the CIA to assassinate Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea.
I wanted to watch it. It seemed really interesting.
I will be traveling to Pyongyang, North Korea, to interview President Kim Jong-un.
Now an internet hacking group is threatening violence on theaters that show the controversial movie.
The Sony cyber attackers issuing new threats, now suggesting they'll take revenge on movie theaters slated to premiere The Interview, a parody aimed at the North Korean leader. What started as Hollywood gossip quickly morphing into a possible terror plot being assessed at the highest levels. Just how credible is the threat? Here's ABC's Cecilia Vega.
From a corporation under siege to a nation potentially under attack. Today, hackers claiming they broke into Sony's computer network, issuing their most ominous warning yet, a threat invoking 9/11, implying attacks at theaters planning to show The Interview. That Seth Rogen, James Franco comedy about journalists attempting to assassinate North Korea's Kim Jong-un.
You want us to kill the leader of North Korea?
Yes. What? The group claiming responsibility for the hack, calling itself Guardians of Peace, saying online, "We recommend you to keep yourself distant. If your house is nearby, you'd better leave." Promising, soon all the world will see what an awful movie Sony has made. The world will be full of fear. And now tonight, Sony apparently backing down, telling theater owners they are free not to run the $44 million feature.
You want to go kill Kim Jong-un?
Totally. I'd love to assassinate Kim Jong-un. It's a date.
Sony not commenting on the latest threat, but the movie's stars canceled a press tour in the wake of today's message. Seth Rogen and James Franco earlier this week telling ABC's George Stephanopoulos they stand by their comedy.
Any second thoughts at all?
At this point, we can't. It's too late to have any, really. No. I think, again, I like the movie. I can't, in my head, over-connect everything surrounding it with the movie itself. We set out to make a movie that was really entertaining to audiences, and I genuinely think we did that, and that's where my job ends.
What started with the cyber breach now elevated to an issue of national security. The FBI is investigating. The Department of Homeland Security says at this time there is no credible intelligence to indicate an active plot against movie theaters within the United States.
The threat on its face appears to be menacing. It really appears to be more of a continuation of the cyber attack against Sony as opposed to a credible, legitimate threat of physical harm.
It has been one taunt after the next from hackers diving into the deep recesses of Sony's computer networks. Data, like social security numbers and salaries, released in batches. Now out there for the world to see.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
An early version of the top-secret script to the newest 007 movie, Spectre. Stolen Justice filming is set to begin.
It's hard knock for us.
And movies like Annie, not yet in theaters. Then, the emails. No celebrities seem to escape. Two of the top producers in Hollywood forced to apologize. Scott Rudin and Amy Pascal reportedly caught bashing Angelina Jolie, saying she lacked talent and had an ego. The pair even making racial jokes about President Obama, saying he might like the movie Django Unchained or 12 Years a Slave. Brad Pitt now among the celebrities leading the backlash, speaking out to Access Hollywood.
Someone's conversation, whether on email or in person, should be private.
Well, this has been an unprecedented attack on Sony, but on any corporation in the world. I mean, nothing like this has ever happened before.
And could it be, behind it all, North Korea? A North Korean government website called the interview an evil act of provocation, and at least one South Korean think tank claims the Hermit Kingdom has a team of hackers capable of an attack like the one on Sony.
Sony is in a no-win situation with this movie at this stage, because if they pull the movie, then they're seen as kowtowing to bullies. And if they don't pull the movie, then, and if something does happen, they're putting lives at risk and could be liable.
But can Hollywood be bullied? Hollywood has on occasion caved to pressure from outside groups claiming offense or sensitivities. In the 2012 remake of the cult classic Red Dawn,
we'll bring terrorists to justice.
Chinese villains were digitally replaced with North Koreans after angry editorials appeared in Chinese newspapers. Following worldwide riots and protests of cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad in a Danish newspaper, South Park creators saw an opportunity for satire.
A cartoon is about to air on American television with the Muslim prophet Muhammad as a character.
But Comedy Central balked, censoring the prophet's image.
Come on, Muhammad, let's get some tea.
And in one of the most controversial films in recent years, The Passion of the Christ, 20th Century Fox passed on distribution rights, faced with criticism the film was anti-Semitic.
Controversies like this can help the buzz of a movie, but in this case now, it's turned the corner, and now a lot of people are afraid to go. I've talked to many people today who are now second-guessing themselves whether they should be going to screenings of this movie.
The hack already hitting Sony where it hurts, in the wallet. Sony stock down 10% in the last 2 weeks. Some analysts say they could spend millions in the fallout. And today, the first lawsuits. One class action suit by 2 former employees claiming Sony failed to protect confidential information, calling it an epic nightmare, much better suited to a cinematic thriller than to real life.
Hackers are not going anywhere. The stakes are higher now. There's more to gain, and we fully expect to see them continuing targeting organizations all over the world.
It's being called the most massive corporate cyber attack ever, and there could still be more to come. The hackers promising this is just the first part of a gift they'll deliver just in time for Christmas.
It's been the talk of late-night TV in America.
These guys play TV journalists recruited by the CIA to assassinate Kim Jong-un. Apparently, old sourpuss over there doesn't have a great sense of humor when it comes to his own assassination.
In North Korea, it's no joking matter. The government has called the film an act of terror and intolerable. Sony Pictures now finds itself in the worst crisis in its history after company internal files and emails were hacked by the same group in recent weeks that made headlines in the gossip pages, before moving to the threat of violence.
According to a new report, officials in the Department of Homeland Security warned Sony that North Korea could retaliate against their film about the country's leader, Kim Jong-un. The report claims they held an off-the-record briefing with executives from Sony about the James Franco-Seth Rogen comedy, The Interview. Reports have been swirling since the hack that it was, in fact, orchestrated by the country in recent weeks.
North Korea denounced that movie back in June, calling it an act of war. Computer security experts say this hack could be just the beginning for Sony.
This is getting serious. The hackers have struck again, and this time they are making it very personal.
Following the massive cyber attack on Sony Pictures, startling new information about threatening emails. According to Variety magazine, a group calling itself GOP, or the Guardians of Peace, wrote to employees saying not only you but your family will be in danger, adding employees should, quote, make your company behave wisely. Sources tell the magazine employees were told to turn off their handheld devices after receiving the message. And in a statement late Friday to CNBC, Sony said, we are aware of the situation and are working with law enforcement. For its part, the FBI says it's continuing to investigate.
This is absolutely a credible threat, and Sony employees should be on guard.
Meanwhile, security analysts are learning more about the extent of the massive breach, which it seems leaked some 47,000 social security numbers. And according to the Wall Street Journal, that includes celebs like Sylvester Stallone and actress Rebel Wilson.
The North Korean government has the power and the capability and the means and the motive to do this attack. In addition, the malware that was uncovered on Sony Pictures Network is so far advanced, it could not have been a malicious insider.
Cyber will overtake terrorism as the persistent, gnawing, constantly at us kind of threat and danger. We as a country are just beginning now, a long march to true security on the internet. Develop, deploy, and prepare to employ cyber techniques as weapons of war. Prepare the battlefield for the employment of such weapons, conduct defense intelligence over the internet, which we do, defend our own classified and unclassified networks.
And so Joe was talking about Cyber Pearl Harbor. We had a Cyber Pearl Harbor. His name was Edward Snowden.